Have you ever grind through a double shift, look at your paycheck and think, ah, cool, I work myself into exhaustion so the government could take more of my money? Same here, but here's the why update. So starting in 2025, that overtime premium, the 1.5 extra pay that you get is deductible. So that's up to $12,500 if you are single, $25K if you are married filing jointly. So this is not some Wall Street loophole. This is straight out of the new big beautiful tax bill that was signed in July 2025. So for once, the tax code actually throw in a bone for people who hustle. Question for you right off the bat. Do you usually take overtime when it offers? So drop yes or no in the comment. I want to see how many of you are in the trenches here. So let me translate this government speak into human language for you with this new law. So when you make $20 an hour and you work overtime, so you get $30 an hour, so that's extra 10, right? So that's the premium. That's the part that you can now deduct from your taxable income. So it's not your base pay, it's not the whole $30, it's just the bonus part of the staying late. And it applies whether you itemize or not, it doesn't matter. If you take the standard deduction, you still get this one. So how many of you knew about this before today? To be honest, say yes in the comment if you heard it, or say no if it's new to you. So who really benefit from this update? This is aimed at people who actually clock in and put in the hour, like the nurses who running back to back the 12-hour shift, the factory worker who on second and third shift, police, firefighter, EMT that pulling on the weekend, retail and service covering holiday, or hopefully our tax accountant that pulling in extra hour and actually get paid for overtime. I doubt it, but that's the joke for my line of work, I guess. Basically, if you have ever looked at the schedule and thought, who signed me up for this madness? You are the target audience. Probably your manager trying to help you out by giving you overtime. Not everyone qualifies those. For the week worker, surging price isn't overtime. If you are on a 1099, this doesn't apply unless you are in a role structure like an employee under the overtime law. So you want to comment below, what's the widest reason you pick up overtime? Is it rent? Is it Christmas gift? Or you're just trying to survive? So drop that in the comment. So let's talk about the catch. The IRS is never give without taking, right? They say there's no free lunch. So here are some guardrails for you. So if you are single and your income is about 150K, or if you're filing a joint return and you two together is about 300K, the deduction start to phase out. So it's very similar to the last video that we covered on the tip income, the same phase out threshold. So for every $1,000 over the limit, you lose $100 of deduction. If you are married, you have to file jointly. So if you want to file separately, you're not gonna get this overtime deduction, kind of, right? And yes, your return have to show your social security number. No funny business here. I know this is a little bit still fuzzy, so let's give you some example. So it's time to do our math because this is where it hits home. For example, let's just say our client, Nurse Jane, she makes $60,000 in base and $15K in overtime premium. So she gets to deduct the $12,500 out of the $15K overtime premium. So she would save about $2,750 in taxes. Now let's give another example. Say both you and your spouse work in a factory and both of you do $20K in overtime premium. So that 40K combined. Remember what we talked about overtime premium is the bonus on top, right? The overtime that you get paid on top of your base rate. So let's say this couple get to deduct that. So they have 40K in combined overtime premium, but they can only deduct max to 25K, right? So 25K is less than 40K, so they get to deduct 25K, so that saves them about $5,500, roughly, depending on their tax bracket and all the other stuff. Let's talk about a police officer. Say he make 10K overtime premium, and he gets to deduct that full amount, saying that he filed single, so deduct the full amount and save about $2,200. That's still depending on his tax bracket and everything, but approximately rough calculation. And that not just the number, so that could mean grocery, it could mean rent, it could mean student loan payback, or heck, right? Finally, that vacation that you've been putting up. So tell me in the comment if you saved an extra $2,000 to $5,000 in taxes, what would you do with that money? I want to hear your answer and see what you plan. So here, let's talk about some moves with tax planning. Let's go from theory to strategy, because smart tax planning is where you turn this from a nice to know into life-changing opportunity. So number one, you want to track your overtime and then calculate your overtime premium. So your boss will report it on your W-2, but do you trust your payroll 100%? Probably not, so you want to keep your own log. You can use a spreadsheet, app, or notebook, this doesn't matter, or just keep the receipt. Second, you want to max out on retirement. So if you are closing to that 150K or 300K threshold where your deduction could be phased out, right? You want to do some extra planning there. What you can do is you can put money into traditional IRA or 401K, so that make the adjusted gross income could drop down under the threshold. So when you are so close to that threshold, say you are at 155K filing single, right? And you want to take advantage of that overtime premium deduction, then you're at 155K, so maybe you can put maybe 6K into an IRA or put in your 401K at work, so that reduce your AGI from 155 minus 6, so that's 149, so that you can take full advantage of the overtime premium deduction and you don't have to have it phased out, right? And this is money going to your pocket for your retirement anyway, so why not if you can spare the cash? The third tip is to play the timing game. So this tax break, very similar to the last video that we talked about with the tip. So this tax break is only from 25 to 28. So that's about a little bit more than 3 years, because we're in like the late 2025 already. So if you can stack your shifts or do it in that window, so you want to push your January overtime into 2025, but pull December overtime in 2028, or something to, if you need to maximize it by tax year before the deal is gone. So tip number 4, you can also stack with other breaks. So there are also the tip deduction up to 25K if you are in a profession that you receive tips, and a car loan interest deduction up to $10,000. So if you are in say hospitality, usually you get tip, right? And you need a new car for your Uber driving business that you want to maximize the interest deduction, so you get the 2-for-1, you know, the tip, the overtime, and you can get also the car interest too. Tip number 5, you want to adjust your withholding. So in 2025, the payroll system might not catch up fast enough. So if you are deducting 20K of income because your W-4 doesn't reflect that, you might be over withheld. So that means that you are giving the IRS an interest-free loan, so you could adjust your W-4. So quick action check. Who here already adjust their W-4 during this year? Job yes if you done it, no if you take that payroll they give you. So let's move on. Let's do some real talk here. So this just isn't about taxes. It's a respect for your grind, your work, right? For a year, tax break went to people buying yacht and building stadium. So finally, here's one for people working nights, weekend, and holiday. But here's the key: you gotta use it. If you don't track it, you don't plan, you leave money on the table. And trust me, the IRS won't come back and say, "Hey, you forgot your deduction." They're not gonna do all that work for you. So you wanna track your overtime or premium this year? Say yes or no in the comment. And or you say I will wing it, and we'll see who's serious about keeping their money. So here the bottom line: overtime just got a whole lot more valuable, not only if you play it smart. So you want to track it, plan for it, and take advantage while it's here. I built an overtime and baseline tracker at our pro deduction shop on Etsy, so you can plug in your hours, it calculates your deduction and your tax saving. It's super simple and no math headache. Before you bounce, so hit the comment, say yes. If this tax break help you, say no, it doesn't apply. And if you know a nurse, cop, or factory worker who constantly pick up shift, tag them. They might need to know this one. So this video is for education only. It's not personal tax advice. So talk to your tax pro about your specific number. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you at the next video. Mahalo!